Hello, everybody. All right, so now getting down to the end of the week here. I hope everybody's having a good week this week. So, of course, before as we wait for more people to show up, I'm gonna probably go off camera for a moment to take care of a couple things real quick, and then when I come back, we'll go over what's on tap for tonight, and then get going. So, let me just put on some music here, keep you guys entertained. And then I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Let me just take care of one more little thing here, and then we will go on our way. Let me do one more thing here. I'm not sure they'll know. All right. Well, anyways. All right. So now we're about 2.5 minutes into this, so we'll go ahead and talk about what's on tap for tonight. So we got like 3 articles from Bounding into Comics we're going to go into, including um, so Western Act. Let's see. First off, the West going off on One Piece fandom again over the debate of whether or not Yamato is transgendered or not, when it would appear that a color spread has definitively debunked that idea. Also, a couple of comics related news stories. Former GI Joe Real American Hero writer Larry Hama admits to being blacklisted by Marvel and DC, and former DC Comics publisher Dan Didio reveals Infinite Crisis was his favorite period during his tenure. So, got some interesting articles to go over tonight. Also, of course, we'll have the wrestling wrap up a little later. Got some big things going on this weekend. All 3 Friday, Saturday, and Sunday having like big event impact with the Under Siege pay per view on Friday, the Night of Champions event for WWE in Saudi Arabia on Saturday, and the All In pay per view not All In, Double or Nothing pay per view on Sunday for AEW. So, be talking a little bit about those, talk about what's going on in Impact tonight. Tonight's Impact will be the last one before Under Siege pay per view, among other things. Get caught up on some of the wrestling news and stories, of course, get caught up on what happened last night. There were some interesting developments in last night's Dynamite, including a debut. But with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and let's get started here. We're now 5 minutes in, so all right. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on. So the first article we're gonna talk about here. Now I know that Hiro Hayes kind of covered this a little bit too, in the anime section of this. So there's been a debate going on whether or not this particular character in One Piece is transgendered or not. The name of the character is Yamato. Um, so let's just see what all happens here. So Western activists lose their minds after new One Piece color spread appears to definitively debunk transgender Yamato theory. Article by Nerdigans published yesterday. Let's see. In recent months, Western transgender activists have turned social media into a war zone over their belief that the One Piece character Yamato was transgender. But thanks to the latest series color spread from creator Eiichiro Oda, mind you, Eiichiro, he's the creator, so this means that this is the guy who would be the authority on what the characters actually are. Um, so if he says that Yamato is a girl or a woman, then that's what she is. Period. It appears that the bleating of the terminally online was all for nothing. As argued by these activists, because Yamato is a tomboy who once used male pronouns, a result of both her being forcefully raised as a boy by her abusive father, Kaido of the Beast, and her dream of following in the footsteps of her hero, the male uh, Kozuki Odin, the Oni princess, um, must be a transgender man. And of course, all dissenters to this belief have automatically been labeled as transphobic bigots. Well, okay, here's the problem with that reasoning, though. If even the creator is basically coming out and saying that, no, Yamato is in fact a girl, then she's a girl. um, so, I mean, you know, the transgender the transgender agenda has nothing to really stand on there because the guy who actually created the character, the person who envisioned the character and wrote the character, is saying that she's a girl, not a transgender male. So you can't be transphobic if and then I guess somebody pointed out here important information of Yamato's V-Very card. Female, November 3rd, 28, 263 centimeters for height. Okay. Not sun. So this is even what our card said. So while Oda has long refrained from giving a direct answer on the topic of Yamato's gender, it seems he has finally made a concrete move to lay the speculation to rest. Yeah, maybe he did because maybe he was just sick and tired of the debate. It's like this is his character. This is his character, and you're trying to tell him how to write his character. Yeah, that's not going to fly too well for anybody. Released on May 22nd, which was which was I think let's see, today's 25th, so that was just past Monday. In fact, this has been going on last year. And illustrated by the mangaka or the manga creator himself. One Piece chapter 1084 opens with a summer themed color spread showing a number of popular female characters from the franchise, including Nami, Robin, and Carrot, having fun on a water slide. Notably, among the various heroines and villainesses is Yamato, who is sitting front and center on a 1,000 sunny themed raft. So there she is right there. You got Nami here to the right, Robin. You got a few others there. Um, oh, yeah. So if the creator himself, the one who actually wrote the character, if he's saying that she's a girl, she's a girl. You're not gonna tell. It's not being it's not being transphobic to basically say no. This character that I am creating. Not I like myself, but I mean, I'm saying it as if I was Oda, basically. Um, but the creator is basically saying, "This is a character I created, and she is a girl. She is a female, not transgender male, not transgender male, nothing like that. She is female. Get over it." Uh, but while fans were admiring their favorite One Piece ladies having fun under the sun, critics were losing their minds over the fact that Oda had seemingly deconfirmed their transgender headcanons. Yeah, their transgender headcanons. Uh, so, in other words, in their mind, Yamato was a transgender male. And he just finally put it to rest and disappointed them. But I don't think it's that big of a loss because I think the majority of the fandom may not ultimately care. I mean, or either that or they have always felt that Yamato was a girl and treated her as such. To the extent that some even made threats against the quote unquote transphobic creator's life. Yeah. So who's the mental case there? Is it Oda for basically denouncing their head canons or head canons, or is it those people who want to force their head canons on Oda, and if he doesn't comply, they threaten his life? Think about that, folks. These people need to be locked up in an asylum. They need to be straitjacketed and locked in a rubber room somewhere. Announcing their desire to personally harm Oda for erasing the possibility of a trans Yamato, um, at Clownso tweeted, quote, "Oda, I'm coming for your jugular. You know what you did." And they call themselves Clown. What an apropos name. Dude, you are a clown. Threatening a creator's life just because he did not want to confirm your headcanon. Dude or woman or whatever, you need to be locked up in an asylum. And I'm talking about Clown there. Um, in addition to believing that Yamato was trans, at Zapart Star um, claimed the heroine was hanging out with a cast of quote unquote lesbians, despite absolutely none of the characters appearing in the spread being one, before likewise revealing their desire, quote unquote, to kill Oda. Whoa. So this guy, Zepart Star, or Streeth, Streether, wants to go kill Oda over this. Dude, you need to take a chill pill. Maybe you need to be locked in an asylum as well. Quote, what kind of game is he playing while why he is entertaining transphobic arguments. Why they hyperbolically correct? Well, first off, it's his character. It's his character. He's the one who created Yamato. Only he can tell you if Yamato is a man, woman, trans, whatever. If he decides that she is a woman, then she is a woman because that's his character. You dolt. Uh, enraged Brazilian critic at Ryan Yee escalated his death threat towards Oda by declaring that they were going to hunt down and castrate the One Piece mangaka. Oh, aren't these people real peaches? Aren't these people real peaches here? Real sweet. Because the man decided to make the character a girl, a female, straight up female. Therefore, that constitutes him deserving to be mutilated and put to death. Yeah, you people are really playing with a full deck, aren't you? Quote, what the F is this, Oda? He demanded, translated via Deepel. Quote, I'm going to hunt you down just to castrate. And these people are real idiots. And of course, they're announcing this all online, of course, so that everybody can, basically, can basically copy, report, and get them thrown in jail. Way to go, smart people, you Looney Tunes. Also, guys, if you haven't already, if you, of course, can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here. Also, if you haven't already, if you can go ahead and if anything here catches your interest, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and then if I can, I'll of course try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Oh, with that, let's continue on with the article here to just see how crazy these people get. Other critics, such as Glitter Cherry, at Glitter Cherry, oh, what a name, were infuriated not only with how Oda chose to include the male identifying Yamato in the all female spread. Again, it's his character. He created the character. He has every right to do that. If he wants to once and for all say she is female, that's his prerogative because he created the character. Not you. He did. But not the series canon male to female character of Kiku, the Kiku Nojo of the Lingering Snow. Oh, Oda, prepare to pay the consequences of your actions. At Glitter Cherry proclaimed, quote, why is Yamato here and not Kiku? Instead, the moment I don't get if, if I don't get if he respects his own characters. Well, the fact is, maybe he just overall believes that, maybe he's not, into your head canons. Again, he has every right to tripling down on the critical gender theory at the catatonic, insultingly dismissed biological women by refusing to acknowledge their existence in order to accuse Oda of transphobia. Oh, great. These people are something else. They all need to be rounded up, locked in an asylum. Quote, people complain about Yamato being here and Kiku missing, unquote. They snarked. Quote, guys, calm down. It's not a color spread about women. It is about boob havers. Hope that helps. Oh, God. Okay. While Yamato's inclusion in this color spread is the closest Oda has come to confirming her gender, as of writing, the mangaka still has yet to offer a direct answer on the matter. Yeah, well, I think this is a pretty, and probably the reason he's not going to give a direct answer is for garbage like this. When these nut jobs start, I mean, the person from Brazil telling, "Yeah, I'm going to come all the way from Brazil to Japan just so I can castrate you." Dude, you need to be locked in an asylum. We should probably straitjacket you and put you in a rubber room, dude. And I'm not talking about Oda either. I'm talking about the Brazilian person. Anyways, so that was that. Some other little interesting little tidbits about all that too. Something that Hirohei had reported on, I guess, a day or two after this came out. They didn't mention in this article. I don't know if they had seen this or heard about this, but apparently, I guess due to some of the furor there, I think Twitter had tried to erase Yamato from the color spread themselves, because some people were finding that Yamato was, in the aftermath of this, was missing from some of those color spreads, which according to Hirohei, might have been YouTube trying to pull something. Somebody at YouTube. I don't know if it would be Elon, but with that being said, let's get ready to move on to the next article then. Amen. All right, so we got a couple comic book related articles here. So we'll get into these now. So, G.I. Joe, a real American hero writer, Larry Hama, admits to being blacklisted by Marvel and DC. Now, if I understand correctly, this is probably the. Oh, wait, no. Oh, it even says here Larry Hama, writer of the G.I. Joe comic book. I was thinking he might have done some of the writing for the 80s animated series as well. I think he did, but I'm not sure. Article by John F. Trent published today, the comic book section. So let's take a look at this. So G.I. Joe, a real American hero writer, Larry Hama, recently shared that he was blacklisted from both Marvel and DC Comics following his now iconic run on Marvel Comics series, among a number of other grievances. I guess this is when Marvel was doing the G.I. Joe comic book. Which most recently it had been being done by IDW, which I don't know. They still have I know they lost the Transformers license. I'm not sure if they lost the G.I. Joe license or not. Or anyways, Hama took to Facebook where he shared, quote, I was considered a commercial hack by organized comic fandom for my entire Marvel run of G.I. Joe. I was considered not good enough to write for the G.I. Joe and okay, so maybe so. My Wolverine run was mostly ignored by fanzines while it was running. Never in parentheses here, never got invited to cons. I was considered not good enough to teach comics at SBA. Unquote. He then shared he was blacklisted. Quote, I was blacklisted by both Marvel and DC. The list goes on and on. I learned very early to ignore the negativity and Charlie Mike with my best efforts. Unquote. As for why he was blacklisted, Hama explained, quote, I made the mistake of telling one head honcho that his brilliant online Fumetti could not be shot for his allotted budget, and that there wasn't enough bandwidth in the universe at the time to put it up. There wasn't. The result was that he fired the entire online department, and none of his editors would return my calls for years. Unquote. Yeah, so basically, that kind of sucks. Quote, the other head honcho was upset that I turned down a job offer because I thought the project should have been written by a woman, he added. Oh, how times have changed. If Larry Hama did that today, he'd be praised by the inclusivity crowd. But back then, they thought that wasn't a good idea. Despite being blacklisted, Hama relayed, quote, I have no grudge against Marvel or DC. They are corporate entities. I was done dirt by execs who are no longer at either company. I harbor no enmity towards the editors, artists, and writers who stabbed me in the back. talk about a passive aggressive response, right? Well, I have no enmity, which basically is like animosity, basically, or any malice towards the editors, artists, and writers who stabbed me in the back. talk about passive aggressive. Conspired to have me fired off books so they could write them themselves, to credit for my work, etc., etc. Quote, as my old compadre Howard Shakin stated, my revenge is living well, having a loving family, wonderful friends, and loyal fans, he asserted. This rings true given Hama recently returned to Marvel Comics at the end of last year to write the miniseries Wolverine Patch alongside Andrea DeVito. In 2021, he also wrote a number of X-Men Legends issues, as well as Conan the Barbarian number 25. He also wrote the Iron Fist Heart of the Dragon miniseries. Hama also wrote a number of issues for DC Comics back in 2015 during their Convergence storyline. Specifically, He wrote Convergence, Batman, Shadow of the Bat, and Convergence, Wonder Woman. Let's see if anybody's been on yet. Let's see. No, I guess not. Um, Again, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, that'd be appreciated. Also, feel free to or feel free to comment or ask questions if feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, anyways, let me just see if I can remind some people that I'm actually on here. All right. So, anyways, as we continue on with the article here, interestingly, Hama would also admit he struggled writing G.I. Joe, a real American hero, issues because fanzines were not covering his work. He wrote, quote, "You have no idea how difficult it was to sit down every month, write another G.I. Joe story, when no fanzine would even deign to write a review. And I got no support from organized fandom," unquote. Quote, "But I wasn't writing for the gatekeepers. I was writing for my readers. And they always came first," unquote. Which is how it should always be, right? What do you make of Hama's claims that he was previously blacklisted by both Marvel? Well, wouldn't surprise me. You know. Anyways, getting ready to go to the next article here. Let's see now. 33 minutes. So, yeah, we're making good time there then. All right, so former DC Comics publisher Dan Didio reveals Infinite Crisis was his favorite period during his tenure. Article by J.B. Augustine, published today. Right, so when Dan Didio was abruptly relieved of his duties as co-publisher at DC Comics a few years ago, a number of people were happy to see him go. Even then, Skyver is one notable exception. But love him or hate him, um, Didio had one of the longest and most eventful tenures at the head of a comic book company in recent memory. Under him, and later alongside Jim Lee, readers readers were and later alongside Jim Lee, readers were treated to 52, the New 52, and DC Rebirth, among other sagas and relaunches. Each of those phases was an event in its own right, and each changed the comics landscape as we all knew it, no matter how polarizing any of them was. and Didio was a favorite. Out of all the phases and reboots during his time, Didio spoke most highly at a recent convention of Infinite Crisis. The 2005 to 2006 crossover limited series, written by Jeff Johns and co-created by Phil Jimenez. Talking to comics, beer, and sci-fi at the Great Lakes Comic Con, Didio said creativity in the company at that point was firing on all cylinders. 2002 was a great year for DC brackets because I just got there, unquote, he quipped. Yeah, probably playing up the idea, well, look at me, I'm the cool guy, right? uh, as a quote, when you do a lot of shows like this, people bring back a lot of old comics. You start to remember the different things you did. But honestly, one of the sweetest times for me was when I was working on the period in brackets of Infinite Crisis. Okay. This includes work put into the 52 weekly series that followed. Didio added, quote, I feel that's when we really had our creative energies really in sync, in unison, that the entire company felt they, in brackets, were working together, and I don't think we could do better books than we did at that particular time. I'm always most proud of that period, unquote. That's a Superboy in Infinite Crisis. Dio also offered the caveat that it's hard to choose a favorite time when there's so much work he's proud of. But, quote, first moment, unquote, the publisher, quote, achieved what he set out to do, unquote, is the one he remembers best. He expressed a similar feeling toward DC animated movies, which were more heavily influenced by comics back then. Back in the 2000 and 2010s, you know, early to mid 2010s. Unlike what they're trying to do with a lot of the stuff now. So, uh, and of course, I see another person here. Now, if you can help out by liking and sharing the stream, seeing if we get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will do the best I can to answer those questions. So, with that, as we continue on here, I guess there's a lot to be gained from those DVD things that we did, unquote. He said, quote, those animated movies are just awesome. Some of the best stuff DC's put out. I think that's when DC was more intimately involved in a lot of the formation of the ideas, unquote. And the animators were fans too, helped a lot. Didio continued, and it showed in each project. And there's a picture of Frank Miller right there. It's Miller Time interview. Ah. Now working with Frank Miller in a new venture, Frank Miller Presents Comics, Didio says he's excited to be more hands-on than he was in the corporate environment with material that he and Miller are choosing themselves. All right, then. there we go. So there's the last article we're gonna do tonight. Now as we just hit the 40-minute mark here, probably start to we're gonna do the wrestling wrap up here. As I said, there's quite a bit going on this weekend. We'll start with some WWE news, of course. Not as much WWE news directly, but Hulk Hogan recently gave an interview, had some interesting comments to say, including that he would be interested in coming back for a retirement match. He's been asked about who he would probably want to face and the like. Now, I don't know if this is a good idea. Hogan is he's going to be 70 in August. He's going to be 70 years. Think about this, guys. For those of you who grew up with Hulk Hogan, right? Dude is 70 years old. His body is a wreck. Okay? A lot of it from he's even claimed that dropping the leg, as it were, the atomic leg drop, cost him 2 inches of his height, basically, because all that compression down on the spine. I mean, I've some of the things that some of the times that I think still rehabbing and stuff like that. But he's got bad hips. He's got a bad back. It's kind of funny because I remember back when I was in high school and I was into professional wrestling and stuff like that. I remember there was this, now those of you who may not remember, there was a magazine. I don't know if it's still in existence due to all the online stuff and stuff like that, but there was an actual magazine called Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I remember they were doing their predictions at the end, towards the end of one year, and one of the predictions they had. Now it didn't come true that year, but the prediction was that Lex Luger would beat Hulk Hogan for the WWF World Heavyweight title after Hogan went to go for the leg drop and landed, and it ended up costing him the title. As he apparently hurt himself, and Luger ended up that didn't happen. But I remember reading something to that effect. So that's probably all the WWE. Well, the one other thing I guess I could mention about WWE side of things, of course, is, as I said earlier, this weekend is going to be Night of Champions. Now tomorrow night's SmackDown event is going to be held from the Global Life Arena. It was taped, of course. Taped last Friday, apparently, to be aired tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, Austin Theory will be defending the United States title against Sheamus. Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi will be taking on the Damage Control duo of Bayley and Io Sky. Cameron Grimes takes on Shantae Adonis. LA Knight takes on Rick Boggs, and AJ Styles, Karrion Kross. This is all the setup for, of course, this Saturday's Night of Champions event from Saudi Arabia. And I don't think they're going to announce any more events. So as far as I know, since I can find it here. So the Night of Champions event coming up this Saturday, the 27th. we'll have on it. The crowning of a new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, as AJ Styles will be taking on Seth Rollins in the match. And as I've already stated before, this title will continue the lineage of the big gold belt. Brock Lesnar is set to take on Cody Rhodes, as Cody Rhodes looks to get some revenge, but for Brock attacking him, while Brock looks to even the score up with Rhodes in terms of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defend the unified tag titles against the Bloodline members of Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. Trish Stratus takes on Becky Lynch. Gunther defends the Intercontinental title against Mustafa Ali. Bianca Belair defends the Raw Women's title against Asuka. Rhea Ripley defends the SmackDown Women's title against Natalya. Now, of course, there's been something because Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair were drafted to the other brands of the belts they're holding. So I don't know what they're planning on doing with this. Is this just so they can appear on both shows? But so I don't know if this is a case for. Well, we thought that could have happened at the last pay-per-view, but it didn't. But where they'll have them drop the titles to the people in question, and then have them defend rematches against the the talent on the actual brand. But again, we'll have to wait and see on that. Now going on to some AEW news, of course, from last night's Dynamite. Among the things. So what we did have, of course, Orange Cassidy successfully defended the international in the opening match. Orange Cassidy successfully defended the international title against one half of Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher, and now he heads into Double or Nothing this Sunday, coming from the MGM Grand Arena in Las Vegas to defend it against 20 other competitors in a casino battle royal. The House of Black defended World Trios title in an open house match. They successfully retained the titles against Blake Christian, AR Fox, and Metallic. Taya Valkyrie got a victory over Lady Frost as she continues to prepare for a match with Jade Cargill. Now, Cargill, her little entourage of Layla Gray and Mark Sterling were out scouting Taya. And Taya just stood there and challenged her to come in the ring, which Jade did not. Roderick Strong defeated Daniel Garcia. Now, one other thing that happened in the Adam Cole Chris Jericho feud, setting up for the unsanctioned match this Sunday, they did have a contract signing where they a personal contract between them. It was not a contract involving, because this is an unsanctioned match. Now, for those of you who don't know what that means, an unsanctioned match is a match that, of course, not sanctioned by AEW. So basically, these guys could do just about whatever they want to each other. Okay, I think if there is a referee, the only thing the referee is there for is just simply count the pin or call the submission, if even that. It's going to be basically a fight. Now, during the contract signing, Chris Jericho made the point, well, there's 5 of us and only 2 of you. This is an unsanctioned match. So we're the ones in the advantage. Now, the 5 he's talking about, of course, himself, Angelo Parker, Matt Menard, Jake Hager and Dan Garcia. Now, I wonder if that means that, of course, Anna Jay, Ty Mallow, and Sammy Guevara are no longer in the group. That's what I kind of wonder. But now, granted, Sammy Guevara has his own thing he's doing right now. As you all know, he's going to be in the four-way pillars match for the AEW World Title. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a moment. But during the contract signing, after Jericho had pointed it out, Adam Cole introduced somebody who I've just recently seen was signed to be the special enforcer. So making his AEW debut, ECW original legend, the homicidal, genocidal, suicidal Sabu made his AEW debut last night on Dynamite. And then the main event saw the Lucha Brothers retain the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles over the Blackpool Combat Club, in which Matt and Nick Jackson of the Elite came out to kind of help the Lucha Brothers retain their title. Now this Sunday's Double or Nothing event. We'll go over the card again real quick here. Let's see. The card at Double or Nothing will have main event it looks like going to be Anarchy in the Arena match, which is a very violent, bloody match. Some people have drawn comparisons of it to the War Games type matches that Jim Crockett Promotions and later WCW would have. In this particular match, it'll be the members of the Elite of the Cleaner, Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, taking on the Blackpool Combat Club of Ring of Honor World Champion Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, and Wheeler Yuta. As I mentioned earlier, there was a four-way match for the AEW World Heavyweight title, as MJF will be defending the title against the other three pillars of AEW, the three guys who've basically been there from the very beginning and who have served as the core of the company, in Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, and Jack Perry. AEW World Tag titles will be on the line as FTR defends against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, with Mark Briscoe serving as special referee. And during a confrontation with both teams last night's Dynamite, Briscoe basically made it clear that he was calling the match down the middle. Wardlow defends the TNT title in a ladder match against Christian Cage. Now, they're billing this as Christian Cage was the one who is one of the guys who like created and invented, innovated the ladder match. Now, he didn't create it. Now, granted, yes, you could argue that he and Edge, along with the Hardy Boys, did do a lot to really expand on it. Now, the ladder match was actually originally created back in, I think it was 1978 in Stampede Wrestling. One of the first ladder matches actually involved the guy everybody would know as Junkyard Dog in his later time in WWE, Sylvester Ritter, and I believe Jake Roberts is also involved in that first ladder match. The first WWE ladder, as it was known, WWF back then, ladder match was, I believe, between or the one that was first televised was Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon at WrestleMania. So and then of course Christian Cage will have Luchasaurus in it. Now, so I mentioned there would be a 21-man blackjack battle royal, and Now we have the names of all the participants in that match now. So Orange Cassidy will be defending the international title, the 21-man blackjack battle royal, which will include the Natural, Dustin Rhodes, Best Friends, Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor. The Blade will be in the match. Brian Cage of the Embassy, Ari Daivari, and Tony Nese of the Varsity Athletes. Let's see. The Lucha Brothers will both be involved. Penta El Zero. Juice Robinson, Big Bill, Swerve Strickland, Limitless Keith Lee, Ricky Starks, Kip Sabian, Jay White, Bandito, Lee Moriarty, Commander, and the Butcher. So those 21 men will be vying for the international title. Jamie Hayter will be defending the AEW Women's Championship against Tony Storm, while Jade Cargill, of course, as we mentioned earlier, will be defending the TBS title against Taya Valkyrie. Ethan Page teams with Austin and Colton Gunn to take on the Hardy Boys and Hook. Now, originally, I don't know the story behind this. I'll probably find out when they show the Rampage event. But originally, Isaiah Cassidy was going to be the third man on the Hardys team, but now it looks like it's going to be Hook. And in an unsanctioned match, you have an unsanctioned match between Chris Jericho and Adam Cole, with Sabu as a special enforcer, who has, of course, made his AEW debut last night. So with that, let's see. And we have one more piece of stuff to go through. As I said, tomorrow night, of course, will be Impact Wrestling's Under Siege pay-per-view. And on the last shows before that, on the the match will be Sami Callihan versus Shogun on tonight's episode of Impact. Probably talk more about this on Monday, of course. The last Impact before the Under Siege pay-per-view. Rick Swann, with Sami Callihan in his corner, will be taking on Angels. They prep for their upcoming match, in which Sami Callihan, Rick Swann, and a mystery tag partner will be taking on the members of the Design. Taylor Wilde takes on Jessica. Alicia Edwards will be taking on Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace continues to prepare for her match with Deonna Purrazzo for the Impact Knockouts World Title. Kenny King teams with Sheldon Jean to take on Decay. Josh Schuyler will take on Chris Bay, and Chris Sabin will take on, in a battle of two former X Division champions. Chris Sabin will be taking on Mike Bailey. That one should be a classic in the making. So now that's what the lineup is for tonight's Impact. Leading into, of course, tomorrow night's pay-per-view, Under Siege pay-per-view. And just a quick review of that, of course. And that tomorrow night's Under Siege pay-per-view, we'll see Steve Maclin defending the Impact World title against PCO in a no disqualification match. Deonna Purrazzo defends the Knockouts World title against Jordan Grace. Now, if Jordan Grace does not win the title here, she will not be able to challenge for the title again while Deonna Purrazzo remains champion. So there's kind of a do or die situation with Jordan Grace. In preparation, Chris Sabin will be challenging Trey Miguel for the X Division title, looking to become the first ever 9-time X Division champion. In a 6-way number 1 contenders match for the Impact World title, the 6 individuals who will be involved in that match include Eddie Edwards, Jonathan Gresham, Frankie Kazarian, Moose, Alex Shelley, and Yuya Uemura. Those 6 individuals will be vying to become the number 1 contender, basically become the next opponent to whoever wins the world title match. As I mentioned, the design will be taking on Sami Callihan, Rich Swann, and a mystery partner. Giselle Shaw answers the open contract challenge of Trinity. Kenny King takes on Nick Aldis. And the Impact World Tag Team Champions, Ace Austin and Chris Bay, take on the team of Subculture of Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews, with Danny Luna in their corner. Now, before the pay-per-view event, of course, the Countdown Under Siege, which will be on YouTube, those who might want to catch that, they do have a match in which Joe Hendry will be defending the Digital Media Championship against Dirty Dango. This came about when it was revealed that Dirty Dango was the one who was attacking the Director of Authority there. So with that, we've got all the wrestling news out of the way there, and we've run a little past 1 hour, but that's okay. So to finish things off, of course, today being Thursday, May 25th, 2023, why don't we go ahead and take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. History! With that, let's take a look here. So first off, we're going to head back to 1998. As on this date in 1998, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event from the UTC Arena in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This was, of course, the Go Home Raw leading up into their In Your House pay-per-view, the Over the Edge In Your House pay-per-view. Now, this is the one from 98. This was the In Your House pay-per-view. This was not the more infamous Over the Edge pay-per-view a year later in which Owen Hart ended up losing his life. This was leading up into the 1998 Over the Edge In Your House pay-per-view. So on this night's Raw, you saw in the main event Steve Austin and Undertaker fight to a no contest. The Rock and Triple H ended in a double count in their match. Farouk defeated Mark Merrow. Taka Michinoku defeated Dick Togo. Vader defeated Jeff Jarrett via disqualification. Golga defeated Thrasher of the Headbangers. And to open up the show in a 6-man tag team match, Darren Drozdov and LOD 2000 defeated all 3 members of the Disciples of Apocalypse of 8-Ball, Chains, and Skull, in which 8-Ball and Skull would be taking on the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom, Hawk, and Animal at the following Sunday's pay-per-view. So on this date, 25 years ago today, Raw was held at the UTC Arena. It was the Go Home Raw before the In Your House 22 pay-per-view of Over the Edge. So now, moving on to the next piece of Nietzsche history here. On this day in 2008, Cartoon Network's Class of 3000 would be canceled on this date back in 2003. So 20 years ago today, the Class of 3000 from Cartoon Network Studios would be canceled on this date 20 years ago today, after I think a 2-year run. So, and finally, on this date 1 year ago today, and this series is still ongoing, Archie Jumbo Comic Double Digest number 330 went on sale on this date 1 year ago today. Sold for $8.99. Wow. Now, granted, $8.99 for this many pages, considering how prices are today and inflation, all that, I guess kind of understandable. 192 pages here. But that's still quite a bit. That must be some thick book. So with that, guys, I thank everybody for being here tonight. If you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more eyes on this. That'd be appreciated. Anyways, so of course we'll be back here tomorrow night. Tomorrow is Friday. Our weekly look back at comics history. RJ Carter will be my co-host for the show, as we will be looking back to books that went on sale in October 1939 from Fox Feature Syndicate. We'll be introducing you guys to Fox Feature heroes Samson and Stardust, among others. Maybe even reading some Blue Beetle. So hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.